After that, there will be ceremony and altar. We all can stand, can witness. So they're going to offer different articles, food, manipulating that. More singing after that, and followed by lunch or lunch. You got 6 or 7 courses, that could be 10 courses is there. Then you can experience food also. Any function and festival starts with 3 things: music, some knowledge, and with food. Okay.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Can you hear? Hari Bol. Actually, yeah. Can someone turn on the speakers? Yes. Is it good to go? Okay. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. Can you hear now? Is it? So a lot of people. Is there anyone here for the first time? The very first time? Yes. Oh, everyone is. Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. As you have been told that this is the center. This is a temple, and we have this temple. There are so many places, right? And the purpose of temple is what? Is to actually come closer to God, to the source where we all have come from. And today we are going to be discussing about a very special person, the person whose life have been a lesson for many people, thousands of people across the world, and he brought this science of Krishna consciousness, the science of self-realization, from east to west, and now it's been practiced by people all across the world. This week, yesterday in fact, was the 57th anniversary. Okay, I can hear myself. So yesterday was the 57th anniversary of Srila Prabhupada, who is sitting right there, his deity, and he traveled from east to west 57 years ago, and he reached yesterday. His journey was of 36 days. He came in a cargo ship, and we will talk about his reasons why he came, and we will also talk about his experiences, how he came. So, it is a very important subject matter, and we have our altar here. In the altar, we have deities in the form of Radha and Krishna, and on that side is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, who are expansions of Krishna, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, the incarnation. And here we have another form, Jagannath Baldeva Subhadra. So all this science was brought by Srila Prabhupada. This idea of spirituality, I'm sure everybody have heard that the Eastern world where it's like the source of spirituality and the Vedic wisdom. So Srila Prabhupada had this knowledge, and when someone actually knows this knowledge and have applied that in their lives, their desire is to spread this knowledge across the world to all the people without any discrimination. So his intention was that, and he had this desire because his spiritual teacher, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, whose picture portrait is right there. So he instructed Srila Prabhupada to go and spread this message across the world because it is so important. We are all, I'm busy with so many other things and neglecting my spiritual quest, my journey in spirituality. So Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master also saw this in people like me, and he instructed Prabhupada to go and wake people up and bring them to the right consciousness. So today I'll be discussing something about that. Thank you, Prem Sindhu Prabhu, for encouraging me to give this class, and it's very important. Why? Because if I say anything wrong about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, Krishna may forgive. But if I say anything about His representative, about His devotee, if anything wrong or inaccurate, it's very hard, So I pray, I ask for everyone's prayers and blessings so that I can speak in the right mood and the message come across so that everyone can understand and realize the importance of this science that Srila Prabhupada brought here today. So in the Vedic scriptures, three elements are described. There are three elements. There are the most important elements. So we call, tattva. Tattva means element. And these elements are basically representing everything, spiritual world, material world. And the first one is Krishna Tattva, the God element. Then the second is Jiva Tattva. Jiva, which is spiritual, beings, the living entities, which are all of us, Jiva Tattva. And the third one is Maya Tattva, the illusory energy of God. And everything is controlled. It is said. So God is the controller, is the maintainer. And Jivas, which are living entities, are controlled and maintained. And Maya, the illusory energy, is here to keep us entertained, right? To keep us busy and keep us in the illusion, in the covering where we think that yes, this is important, that is important, but God consciousness is all right. You can do it later. That is the job of Maya, and it's amazing how we are all somehow or the other entangled in this illusory energies, the modes of material nature. But and Krishna sees this. God sees that how everybody is somehow or the other suffering, struggling without knowing. And that's why out of his kindness, his love for us, he sends, either he comes himself or he sends his representatives. And that is the fourth element. It's called Guru Tattva. We all have heard about Guru, right? Anyone here never heard about Guru, this word Guru? Okay, everybody knows Guru, right? It's We have all heard and understood this word guru in a very different ways from different sources. Right now in today's day and age, everybody can claim themselves as guru. Some people claim themselves as the tech guru. Why? Because all they know is how the cameras in different phones work. That is their qualification to call themselves tech gurus. Then there are yoga gurus. Then there are soccer gurus, the coaches. They all are somehow or the other consider themselves as guru. But according to the scriptures, it is said the guru, the definition of guru is given and his qualification, who can call themselves guru. So according to the scripture, guru means the one who awakens the love for Godhead in living entities. And they are full of compassion. They are full of compassion for the living entities and they don't discriminate. And they think that it's their duty to spread this consciousness of God to the entire world. And that is something that we can see in Srila Prabhupada from his birth till the time he performed different activities in this material world. And it is also important to know that people sometimes it's only about reading the books and just telling others but not applying. But that's why there are two Sanskrit words. One is called prachar, means to instruct, and one is achar, means to apply that in the life. So one who is acharya, the guru, means he is also applying what he is teaching others in his own life. So Srila Prabhupada is our founder acharya who brought this Krishna consciousness from east, from India to west to America, and that's why we have a very special position for him in our lives. So today we are going to discuss a few of the things that Srila Prabhupada did and why he did so many things. It is said that things were predicted beforehand, what Srila Prabhupada would do and how he would do. So about 5,000 years ago, Lord Krishna here, he himself predicted, he was in Brahma Vaivarta Puran, he was telling Mother Ganga that 5,000 years from now, there will be a person who is the great sage and worshipper of my holy names, who will appear and spread the chanting of my names throughout the world. So it is predicted by Lord Krishna himself. Then not just Lord himself, but even his pure devotees, Nama Alwar, who is one of the another great saintly person, and he has also predicted that there will be a time when Lord Vishnu's devotees will be seen all across the world chanting and dancing the glories of the holy names. The third prediction by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, he said, every city and every town in the world there will be glories of my names sung and in the manner of Sankirtan, in a group singing, like what Divine Krishna was doing just now. And there will be a Senapati Bhakta. There will be a devotee who will come and who will take this signs. So here, this is the quote from a scripture called Chaitanya Mangal. He is saying that if some sinful people escape and give up religious principles, go to far off countries, then my Senapati Bhakta will come at that time to give them Krishna consciousness. So Senapati Bhakta is like the commander in chief, and of course this means that Lord Chaitanya, Krishna himself have already predicted and have empowered this soul, this person. Then later, one of the teachers in this line of devotion, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, also predicted in his article that, so he writes something like this: Lord Chaitanya did not went himself to liberate only a few men in India. Rather, his main objective was to spread, this consciousness, this science to all over the world and to preach this eternal religion. And he talks a lot about different places, different countries, but he emphasizes on this one person who will take this science. And the very next year after Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote this article was the appearance of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada in 1986. So one may think, right, that there is so many predictions that have been made. So it must be pretty easy, right? If someone backs one person, like imagine government is telling that, okay, this person is going to be a great soccer player. And then all the teachers, all the coaches are telling this, yeah, he's great. He's going to become a great leader, a great captain or whatever. So that person will have like such amazing environment and such amazing support, right, to become a great soccer player. But not in the case of Srila Prabhupada. Despite of all the predictions that have been made, Srila Prabhupada's life was not that simple and successful. At least until he came to USA, came across the ocean to the west. So from 1986, the year that he appeared, till 1896. Thank you. 1896 till 1965, his life was just setbacks one after another, and he had many. He owned a drugstore. He was a pharmacist. It's very interesting, this drugstore concept. I was hearing about that from one of the students of Srila Prabhupada, that drugstore, it is the job of a drugstore owner to know the disease of the person and what kind of medicines they give, right? It's not just one medicine for all. So he would know, identify that, okay, here is the diseased person, what is the degree of the disease and what are the problems that that person is having. So then he will give the medicines according to that. And Srila Prabhupada, he learned that and he applied the same thing in material science as well as spiritual science. He would give different doses to different people based on their different circumstances, time and situations. So that is the sign of the compassionate person. They see that, okay, this person is going through a problem, so he gives a solution that helps that person to bring one step closer to Krishna. But that drugstore failed. He was not super successful, and like that he had 5 businesses and all of them failed. He had major investments in different things and none of them were successful either. Then he met his spiritual teacher, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, and later, many years from his meeting, he saw that his spiritual group was getting just destroyed. Like it was going away. It was breaking away. So even that was not a very happy scene for Srila Prabhupada to see his own god brothers and his friends were fighting and having conflicts. Srila Prabhupada also never had a great financial background, and he never was in a financial situation where he can just order things and things would happen. Then Srila Prabhupada's family life, it's a very interesting thing. He was a pure devotee, but his family life was also not so great. His wife was not favorable to Krishna consciousness, to devotional service, to bhakti, and he had to eventually give that up also. And he tried to give this science of religion, science of Krishna consciousness to people in India, but people made fun of him throughout his time in India when he was trying to share magazines about God consciousness in a really scientific way, very logical way. If we have Back to Godhead magazines even now that's published. So it's amazing what he did. We will go through that a little bit later again. But these setbacks and these problems didn't stop Srila Prabhupada. It would have, if we have such problems, we would probably not have any motivation to live anymore. But for Srila Prabhupada, that was not the case. Why? Actually, one of the times Srila Prabhupada was asked that, so Srila Prabhupada, there are so many people who have tried to bring this science of Krishna consciousness to the West, but nobody have been successful. Why is that you are so successful? Srila Prabhupada said, it is only because I am in the line of the disciplic succession and I am presenting this Krishna consciousness, the God consciousness as it is, without any speculations, without any misinterpretation. So that's why our Bhagavad Gita, the copy of Bhagavad Gita is called Bhagavad Gita as it is. And that was Srila Prabhupada's goal and mood from the very beginning, that he didn't want to play, with words. He would be very straightforward in his books, and that is the reason that he was very successful. But then there were many others who were also in the disciplic succession in the line of this guru and student chain, right? They all came, but again they didn't have this much of success. So one of his god brothers, Bon Maharaj, he was also asked that you also tried and Srila Prabhupada also tried. You both are the disciple, student of the same teacher. You both belong to the same institution, right? When you tried to preach across the world, it didn't work. And Srila Prabhupada tried and it worked. How is that possible? So Bon Maharaj very humbly shared that, yes, that is true, we both tried. But the reason he was so successful was because he had full faith in Krishna and in Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Because of his faith, and we will, if we have time, we will try to go through his prayers, his songs that he wrote while he was traveling from India to America. And we can see his mood in Srila Prabhupada's songs also. So it is very important that we attach to God's representative than God directly himself. Because yes, one can try to go to the Supreme, the Almighty, the Divine, but what happens? It's very hard to to understand what God wants us to do. It's very hard to understand His instructions sometimes. Sometimes different people understand different ways. So it is very important to be more connected to His representative, right? Who knows us, who knows our limitations, who knows our situation. So that's why the concept of Guru comes, and it is so important to attach to Guru. And in that line, we have a very nice story, very nice pastime about Lord Kapila. He talks to his mother, Devahuti, where he says that a wise person knows that if they are attached to the material things, all they are doing is entangling more in these material problems. But if one attaches themselves to a pure devotee, a great student of this science of bhakti yoga, then their door of liberation opens up quickly. So that's why we try to take shelter, to try and learn the teachings of great saints like Srila Prabhupada. So it's the first thing that I want to convey, that we should try to attach ourselves to these saintly people. And of course, someone might say that, but Srila Prabhupada is no longer with us anymore. Then how can we connect to Srila Prabhupada? His physical presence may not be there, but his instructions are always there with us in his words, in his books, in his lectures, and you can also see that his students are practicing that. So if we just try to meet and associate and hang out, just discuss some of the spiritual things, spiritual topics with them, our lives would take turns, and it will become successful. So that's so far just about Srila Prabhupada and his qualities and the importance of having a relationship with a spiritually advanced person. So I just want to give let's put ourselves in the shoes of Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, we all have heard that we should follow in the footsteps of great saints, great devotees, right? Srila Rupa Goswami says in Nectar of Instruction, Utsaha Nishchayat Paryat Tat Tat Karma Pravartanat Sangatyago Sato Vritte Sadbir Bhakti Prasiddhati. So if we want to have our spiritual life advance, we have to have 6 qualities, and one of them is to follow in the footsteps of great saints, great devotees. So today I invite you all to wear the shoes of Srila Prabhupada, and let's have this journey of him from the very beginning till the time he reached United States of America. So little bit of timeline about Srila Prabhupada while we are in his shoes. We want to also experience everything that he did, right? So he appeared in 1986, in 1896. Why I'm attached to 1996? There is nobody I know who was born in that year, but 1896. We can say he's like century old. He was from 18th century, and 19th century. And in 1920, he was a very scholarly person, but he rejected his diploma. Why? He wanted to help Mahatma Gandhi, who was a great freedom fighter of India, and he wanted India to be independent. So he dropped out from his college and he started to help Mahatma Gandhi. But in 1922, he met his spiritual teacher, Bhakti Siddhanta, and that changed his heart. So from 1922 till 1933, in the very first meeting, his spiritual teacher, he gave him this instruction that you are a very learned scholar. Why don't you take this science of Krishna consciousness and go and teach to the world, right? And that stuck with him forever. And that became his mission in his life. So in 1933, when he formally got initiated under this disciplic line, and from 1944, he started this publication of fortnightly magazines called Back to Godhead. Now, many of these things you may already know, but it is always nice to again reflect upon these things and just see his struggles and his endeavors. If we try to think that are we able to do, or are we even trying to do that much, it will give us some really hard-hitting answers. So this is what Srila Prabhupada did in 1944. He himself designed the magazines, the logo, where we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's picture, and he was the publisher, he was the editor, he was the proofreader, then he would distribute the books himself. The Acharya of our line is doing this work, and I heard that it sometimes it gets very hot in India, and he would take these magazines and go on the streets where people are not even looking at him. Everybody is so busy. Imagine in New York street, if you're going and just handing out books on yoga, people have no time for that. So that's what Prabhupada's situation in India. And sometimes he would not have breakfast, no food. His only goal was to just get this printed and get it out to public. And in 1947, he was recognized by the Gaudiya Mutt, the spiritual organization as Bhakti Vedanta. And in 1950, he retired from his married life. He moved to Vrindavan. Vrindavan is a very nice, spiritually potent place. It's basically the hub, this of spirituality, Vrindavan. So he went and moved to Vrindavan. That's when he started to read and study more scriptures from the previous teachers, and he stayed in Radha Damodar Mandir. So he would write a lot of things on Srimad Bhagavatam. He would translate because he was a very great scholar. He knew English. His English was really amazing. And in 1959, he accepted sannyas. The sannyas order is renounced order of life, where he doesn't have any business with the material world anymore. All his goal is to learn, apply the spiritual knowledge in his life, and share with others. That is his life. Then he always remembered that his spiritual teacher gave him a big instruction that go and take this knowledge and spread across the world. Right? Go to the West and teach people. And he would always try different places to different people. He would always be looking out for an opportunity to see if he can find a place. And then that's where he met one very pious lady, Sumati Morarji. So she was a very elderly lady as well, and she was awarded by the government for her great endeavors because of her business of her cargo ship. And she would ridicule Srila Prabhupada. Now, just keeping you all in the same page, is that Srila Prabhupada was by that time 70 years old, and at the age of 70, this old man, spiritually enlightened man, is trying to get himself a trip to America. Now, not for what? Not for any other business, but just to spread Krishna consciousness. And Sumati Murarji would ridicule Prabhupada that Swamiji, you are a very old person. Why you are wasting your time? Just stay in Vrindavan, do your spiritual activities, and go back home, back to Godhead. Get liberated in this lifetime. Why you have to do this hassle? And a lot of people would make fun of him. People who were working for Sumati Morarji, that, oh, I know why you are going, Swamiji. You are about to leave this planet, so what, you want to just go to America and enjoy nice, the lifestyle and everything. Experience it once before you leave this planet. So we know what you are trying to do. And Prabhupada would laugh with them. But internally, only Prabhupada knew that, okay, whatever they are saying, his goal was not deviated ever. He knew that his mission was just to fulfill the instruction of his spiritual teacher. And he would stand outside Sumati Murarji's office for hours. And she also took Srimad Bhagavatam, the first volume from Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada had to wait for 6 hours outside her office. The managers of that lady would not let him meet her. So Prabhupada would be very determined that no matter what happens, I'm not moving. And then one time, Sumati Morarji, she came out, she saw Prabhupada and his determination. He said, all right, I'm going to get you the ticket to my cargo ship. And the cargo ship was no cruise ship where you have all the swimming pools and the casinos and stuff like that. No, this is goods carrying cargo ship, and in not great shape also. But still, Sumati Morarji, she gave him a very nice a room at least, and where he can stay and start his journey. So all his dream, all his the instruction that he was given is finally coming to reality. Srila Prabhupada is now gonna start his journey. So all of these things, when we talk about that he's planning to come to USA and he's planning to give this God consciousness to people across the world, one might think that how is it even possible? Or sometimes people also take it for granted and say it's possible, why not, right? But if we even look at from the material and logical point of view, it's impossible for a 70-year-old man to go across the country. And why it's impossible? First of all, he never had a success. It's not like, okay, I tried here something, it worked, now I'm going to do the same thing somewhere else. No, that was not the case. All throughout his life, he was having setbacks one after another. And he also tried to find many ways to come to America, to different parts of the world. One time he met a person, he was promising him that, yes, I can take you to Japan. And Prabhupada tried very hard, but then he had all the paperwork done, but he didn't have enough money to buy the ticket to go to Japan. So that was his situation. He was trying so hard to just accumulate enough money so he can travel and fulfill the instruction of his spiritual teacher. And again, why it's impossible task? It's a mission impossible task. And another, there are many reasons that I came across. There is a very nice book, his biography. If you don't have, please grab one today. It's very engaging and very enlightening. We have lots of life lessons from that book. It's called Srila Prabhupada's Lila Amrita. We have here, Premchandra Guru can get your set. So in that, we can learn that it's impossible task. Why? Because he didn't know anything about America. He didn't imagine if I asked you, why don't you go to, let's say, Russia? If you haven't been to Russia and if you don't know their language, if you don't know their culture, and you have to go there and do something new, something extraordinary, I would lose my sleep. I would have nightmares. But Srila Prabhupada, no, he didn't get distracted. He didn't have any support. Like I said before, if you have support, see, I came here, everything was very nicely organized. And I have this mic speaker, everything works, right? People are here, and we also go to so many places, and facilities are provided. But for Srila Prabhupada, that was not the case. There was no facility provided to him. There was no planning. We have so many workshops, seminar. Okay, how can we improve this service? How can we improve this project? We have so many meetings we discuss throughout our journeys, right? But for Srila Prabhupada, no meetings, no workshops, no seminars, no retreats. It was just himself. But he still made it possible. It may sound impossible. So the time in which Srila Prabhupada decided to come to America was also very strange time, very different time than now. Anyone from the 60s here? Okay, maybe maybe some people know what was the situation in 60s. Vietnam War, and people were counterculture, they were rebellious, and the most known thing is drug and alcohol and LSD. That was their culture. That was their religion. And I was hearing about one, in Athens, I went last week, and we were discussing the same topic. And there were many people from 60s, and they were saying, we had only two mottos. They had two mantras. The mantra that they had was, one is do whatever you want, and two, never trust anyone who is above 30. And guess Srila Prabhupada came to do just the opposite. Have trust on him, and he was twice than 30. He was 60, 70. And that is the journey that he's having, and that is the goal. It's just impossible to go and convince those whose lifestyle is completely different. And if anyone wants to become advanced in spiritual life, they have to do few things, just to elevate their consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada have these regulations, these rules and regulations, and some of them are no meat eating, first of all, right? In order to be spiritual, we have to have compassion, and not just for fellow human beings, but for all the living entities. And eating meat is not very compassionate, right? We all can agree to that at least. So eating meat, then no drugs, no intoxication, no alcohol, no gambling, and no illicit relationships, no sex, right? No illicit sex, he said. But the culture in America at that time was just that. And all of that, Srila Prabhupada is now trying to change. So it's a mission impossible task for Srila Prabhupada. So it is just, imagine that you have to build a house in the middle of a cyclone. That's what Srila Prabhupada was doing. You have to make a nice sand castle, and the whole tsunami is coming. So that's Srila Prabhupada's goal. So are you all so far comfortable in Srila Prabhupada's shoes? Yes. So that is something that if we try to think right now, in fact, people will read about Srila Prabhupada, and in future they might say, this is all mythological. How can you do that? Right? Is it even possible? Like right now, we have scriptures. In scriptures, there are many things which are never told before, or like it's not very known. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, he made tigers and deers embrace each other. He made elephants, tigers, snakes dance on this holy name of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So some people might say it's all mythological. How is it even possible? So it's very possible that Srila Prabhupada's story, this the life that he lived and the success he had, people would think that it's probably just mythological. How can he change? How can he make hippies into happies? So we still know it's a fact, and it all happened. We are very lucky that we live in this age where Srila Prabhupada was just with us, and we still have his students. We have direct association of his students. So far, what has happened is, Srila Prabhupada's goals. We discussed about Srila Prabhupada's early life and his timeline. But now let's jump on the ship of Jaladuta. The ship that Sumati Morarji granted him, the cargo ship, and he started to come across America. So he started from Calcutta on August 13th, the Friday. I see some smiles. So according to American calendar, Friday the 13th is like so inauspicious. And Srila Prabhupada started on that day. And that's his picture right there, and the cargo ship that he uh, traveled in. So the very next day of his journey, right, very next day, Srila Prabhupada started feeling the side effects of traveling in a ship. If you haven't, I have, and I am already scared of water, so I don't feel comfortable. But Srila Prabhupada, he had seasickness. Then he had fever. He was vomiting. At the age of 70, he's having all these troubles with his body. But what can he do? The journey has begun. So after a few days, Srila Prabhupada reached from Calcutta to Colombo, which is in Sri Lanka. And there, it was Janmashtami, right? Janmashtami is the day where Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago. And devotees across the world celebrate Janmashtami like a grand festival. It's the biggest festival of our tradition. So Srila Prabhupada is on the ship and no devotees. So what can he do? He was the first person to celebrate Janmashtami and do Krishna Katha on a ship. We hear a lot of Krishna Katha on cruise ship, this and that. Prabhupada was the first person to do that. So he didn't care how many people or who were around him. He engaged everyone, the ship, the men who were working on the ship, the captain of the ship. Let's have Janmashtami festival. He cooked delicious vegetarian feast for everyone, and everybody enjoyed that Janmashtami so much. And the day after Janmashtami is Nandotsava, which is also, it happens to be his appearance day. He very quietly chanted his rounds, his Hare Krishna Mahamantra, his spiritual activities he performed, and no parties or no celebrations. That was his humility. We can see throughout his journey. And it was pretty amazing that how the journey started, and it is just like his body is showing signs that wow, it's not a good idea. So what happened next? From Colombo, the cruise ship, not the cruise ship, but the cargo ship started to Arabian Sea. Now, these oceans sometimes are very unpredictable, and the turbulence and the chaos it has is just unimaginable. And Srila Prabhupada, in the middle of all that, he had intense chest pain, and he realized he's having a heart attack at the age of 70, an old man on a ship where nobody knew him or nobody was there to help him, but all he had was his faith in God, his faith in Krishna, and his desire to fulfill the desire of his spiritual teacher. That these are the only two things he had. So Srila Prabhupada moved along. What can he do? Immediately after that, he had another heart attack. So he had two heart attacks, and all he could do was just bear the pain, the intense pain that he was having, and he went to sleep. Now, when he was resting, Krishna came in his dream. He had a vision of God Himself coming in a boat. He was very beautifully dressed, nice ornaments, nice jewels, and amazing fragrance. He was all attractive. Krishna means all attractive. And Srila Prabhupada saw Krishna. He came and he said, he came in his own boat. Yeah, very nicely coming closer to Srila Prabhupada, grabbed Srila Prabhupada's hand, and he said, just jump on my ship, jump on my boat, come along, don't worry, do not fear, I will take care of you. And Srila Prabhupada woke up from that dream and he had no pain whatsoever. Absolutely no pain. His bodily pain were gone, but the pain of separation from Vrindavan started to appear. So he was now missing his spiritually, where he practiced so much of Krishna consciousness, where he wrote, where he met so many devotees, he started missing all of that. And what can we do? For physical pain, there are some medicines. For internal pain, the medicines are not available everywhere. So he knew. So he started writing his diary. In his diary, the first thing he wrote was, today I have disclosed my mind to my companion and my dear friend Krishna. That is the first thing he wrote. He would talk to Krishna in a way that we can only aspire, and we should try to also do that. Writing diaries, talking to God. We come in front of God, and what we do, sometimes we tell our problems to God. Okay, here I have this problem, please solve. I have this desire, please fulfill. But Srila Prabhupada would actually ask that, okay, how can I help you? What can I do to please you? And that is the mood of a devotee. They care more about the Lord than himself. So he would write, many things in his diaries, and we are a little short on time, but I think we should still go through some of the prayers. And yes, absolutely, we can through his after his the painful heart attacks and many the physical toll that his body has taken, he came to the Atlantic Ocean. Right now he is in Atlantic Ocean, and the waters were smooth in Atlantic Ocean for a change, because it is actually known Atlantic Ocean is very turbulent. It's not that easy to ship through that place, but suddenly it was all smooth. And Srila Prabhupada, the first thing he thought was, Krishna has taken charge. And he would connect everything with Krishna. He would connect everything with Krishna. And even after his journey also, he would be so humble. He would not say that finally, I have come on this ship and finally I'm going to America. No, he would say, Krishna, it's because of you I have finally been able to come to this ship. So he started writing amazing prayers and amazing his reflections, his thoughts. He opened his mind in his diaries, in his poems. He was a great poet. And he was in when he was in the Atlantic Ocean, he was thinking of that, how smooth this has become. So he was thinking, like, there are many examples in our scriptures where we see that when devotees are in trouble and when they take shelter of the Lord, troubles go away, life becomes easy. And that's when devotees realize that yes, Krishna has taken the complete control. So we have any examples? Can anyone can think of devotees are in trouble and life became actually pretty easy or smooth? Yes, Prahlad Maharaj, and even the example here is that also that Srila Prabhupada is carrying Krishna with him, and ocean has become smooth, right? So Vasudeva was also carrying Krishna. When Krishna appeared in the jail of Mathura, he took Krishna to Gokul. and it was thunderstorm in the middle of night. But then the Yamuna river was all quiet. He made way for Vasudeva to take Krishna. When you are carrying Krishna, things will get easier. So it is it's a lesson for us that we should always take shelter of Krishna, always carry Krishna wherever we are. So he started writing all of this in his diaries and in his poems. And he also never wrote these poems in his diaries for public. It was just he was pouring his heart out. And later, many years later down the line, he asked his students to go and clean up my room. And then that's when they found the diary. And then they realized, oh wow, this is on his way to America. So in 1965, exactly 36 days from the time he started his journey. Anyone traveled here for 36 straight days? No, right? Anyone traveled more than 24 hours? Yeah, some. Those who go abroad to in India, especially, yeah, our trips are at least 24 hours. And in that 24, after the 20, like after we come out of the plane, the first thing is, okay, now where can I find a hotel where I can rest a little bit? Yeah, or just complain about how bad the service was or how uncomfortable the seats were. And here we have Srila Prabhupada. After 36 days, his eyes were wide open when he reached Boston, and he would see the glamorous, the thing that the entire world is talking about America. Nice buildings and nice roads, and people were so happy, and they were thinking that they were happy. But Srila Prabhupada, all he could see is that where is God consciousness in this? Where is spirituality? And that's when Srila Prabhupada came back to his ship, to his room, and he started writing his poem. So I have this poem right here. So maybe I can. Yes. It's called Makine Bhagavad Dharma. So I'm not sure if we have enough time, because after this I also want to show you all a very short and touching video. Yes, there might be questions also. So we'll just quickly read about what Srila Prabhupada's mood was and what he was thinking after he came back from seeing Boston City. He came back to his ship and now he's writing this amazing prayer. So he's saying, "My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like me to do." Yeah, it's amazing his humility. He's saying he is a useless soul. Yeah, I mean, I have no words. If Prabhupada says he's a useless soul, I don't know where to put myself. Um, it it takes a lot of courage and a lot of humility to accept. If one knows the true position of God, and if one understands, realizes their self, the self realization, it's very natural thing to think that I have nothing to offer. I am nobody. If we know the position of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada, he was such a pure, sincere devotee of the Lord, he recognized that. And he said, if Krishna is so great, I am just his servant. I am nobody. So he's calling himself useless. And he's also saying, I do not know why you have brought me here. He didn't say, I don't know why I chose to come here, or I don't know why my guru gave me this instruction to come here. He's giving credit to God himself. That no, you chose, it's your decision. You are the controller. You controlled my life. So you have brought me here. So why have you done that? So I have nothing to do. I'm just going to do what you say. His instructions is going to follow. But guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? Again, Prabhupada is in America, the dreamland, right? Prabhupada's vision is he's seeing that people are just on drugs, high, and there is no spiritual. People are actually looking for spirituality in that time. They were looking for answers. They didn't have faith in the government. They didn't have faith in their religious organizations. Everybody cheated them. So people were rebellious. And Srila Prabhupada saw that there is no God consciousness. So he's calling this place a terrible place. Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion, absorbed in material life They think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for transcendental message of Vasudev. Vasudev is Krishna's another name. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. Difficult task, right? If someone who is super materially very well situated, if things are going really great in our lives, it is very hard to take up to God consciousness. Everybody agree? Yeah. Only when we have troublesome life, when we are going through some problems in our life, we turn our backs to God. Sorry, we turn towards God. Otherwise, we turn our backs towards God. So Prabhupada is seeing all of that, and he is still showing his humility. But I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible because you are the most expert mystic. He himself is called, he is known as Bhakti Vedanta, who is the knower of the Vedic wisdom, who knows everything in and out. But he is saying, no, Krishna, you are the expert. Who am I? How will they understand the mellows of devotional service? O Lord, I am simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them about your message. Right? The mellows of devotional service. Not that, okay, you don't believe in God? Hell. You believe? Heaven. No. Mellows, devotional service. Anything about God is very pleasing, and all the different pastimes are there to attract people closer to Krishna. So Prabhupada is simply praying. And this is one thing that I really liked about Srila Prabhupada. Whenever, whatever stage of his life, he never stopped praying. Prayers have so much power. Sometimes we don't know if Krishna is actually receiving our prayers. He is actually hearing our prayers. If Krishna, let's say, if one person's job it is, yeah, to hear all the complaints of people, they will say, okay, no, carry on. But Krishna is not like that. Krishna is there for everybody. He hears everyone's prayers. It is one of the 5 practices we do before we chant before we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So prayerful mood is very important. That also keeps us grounded and keeps us humble. That no, it's not me, it's Krishna. I am not the center of the universe. It's Krishna who is the center of the universe. Srila Prabhupada continues that all living entities have come under the control of illusory energy by your will, and therefore, if you like, by your will, then they can be released from the clutches of illusion. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. Then Srila Prabhupada continues, and I would just jump to the last few prayers. Yes, this is okay. Yeah, we can read 2 more and then we can see the video. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel engladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. So Srila Prabhupada is always dependent on Krishna. This shows his surrender, his dependence on Krishna no matter what. And he is relying on Krishna that only Krishna can make it happen that my words, his words can become purified. And then he continues, "Oh Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance, make me dance. Oh Lord, make me dance as you like." So very profound, right? This is a very lot. It's been recited by many people, many devotees, and many times, we also want to control things. We also want to be the leader of something or the other. We want to be the proprietor. But if our mood is like a puppet, we are just dependent on God. Let God manage my life. Then it becomes very easy, our life, and also it becomes very happy. So Prabhupada is showing by his own example. He says, now again, he was a pure devotee. He is a pure devotee who have given his whole life to spread the message of God, right? And this is what he is saying in his last poem, the stanza, is that I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhakti Vedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhakti Vedanta. The Srila Prabhupada is saying, I have no devotion. What do I have? No knowledge. But as students of Srila Prabhupada, we know, this is just his humility. So, and then here is just brings so much emotions. He signed this letter. He said, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta, on board the ship Jaladuta. So this is our Srila Prabhupada, where he shows his humility and he shows his full surrender, the mood that how he is fully surrendered on Krishna. He is completely dependent on Krishna, and rest of the things we know is a history. The success that he had after that, he established over 108 spiritual centers, the ISKCON temples, and thousands of people started chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Every part of the world now is chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and people are realizing that this is so amazing. It's not just helping them spiritually, but even the material problems are disappearing. And just spiritual advancement is so rapid, and they are all feeling happy, blissful, peaceful, and it's the power of this Mahamantra. And that's the faith Srila Prabhupada had on Mahamantra, and he could do so many things. Over 500 million of his books were distributed throughout the world, and we have so many books here. If you want to read more about him, or if you want to read more what he wrote, grab a copy, and we'll just quickly watch this short video, 4 minutes. Okay. If anybody have any questions so far? Okay.
And I talked about public, my first one of one then I published second part also. So after part, published in two parts, then automatically Guru Maharaj came in data, and then now we can start for And then I decided to take up the responsibility to Maharaj. The day was I must have. Okay. The day was the Krishna. There is many forms from there. I finished this book for 1 year. There was no friend. I was living in an apartment. Super dignity is still. I did not know to pay next month rent. We are all strong, and my neighbors are my favorite college was full. In this way, I do have very much regret. I was going to read a city conference when we went to India. Then I went to it for some time off when it returned back. But my Guru Maharaj, he wanted this. Not that he is dead and gone. That is not spiritual. That's nothing. In ordinary living things, he does not talk. Now nothing on the mind. And what is speak of the exalted of right personality. But I can full faith that my Guru Maharaj is with me. I never lost his faith. And this is fact. I never feel that I am alone.
Okay, so yes, I mean that will take another. What he achieved after his journey, after he came to America, and it would probably be another class. So I hope you still have Srila Prabhupada shoes on, and don't take it off. Take this message. If you liked it, help, support. If you cannot, first is to become God conscious, and then help others to become God conscious. And if you cannot help, you help those who are helping. So that is our goal here. There is no personal agenda. There is nothing. It's all for the pleasure of God, the pleasure of Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And now we will have kirtan, and those who, since a lot of new people are here, what this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra we are gonna chant, so you can get familiarized. You can repeat after me: Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we will chant this kirtan, and
yeah, so let's begin our now the students understand, the priest is offering different articles in the article. So that will continue till 1 o'clock. So now we'll have to stand up. So now we can observe mostly followed by a length. So we are going to sing Hare Krishna, but the words are right there.